the organization in the year ahead. The national officials briefed the meeting of the interactions they had led with various stakeholders, including among them the alliance partners, COSATU, the SACP and SANCO, business, organized labor and civil society formations, on the appointment of the Minister of Finance following the reshuffle and expected redeployment of Comrade Nhlanhla Nene. These engagements were precipitated by the expressed public concern which followed the redeployment of Comrade Nene and the appointment of Comrade David van Rooyen as Finance Minister. As has now become common knowledge, the President of the Republic has reconsidered his decision and appointed a seasoned and experienced leader, Comrade Pravin Gordhan, as Minister of Finance. The President's willingness to change an earlier deployment in the face of our sluggish economic climate and representations from role players demonstrated bold leadership, bringing certainty and assurance in the finance portfolio. The thorough engagement that was held with the various stakeholders and the ability of the leadership to review their positions in the face of legitimate concerns of our people are the hallmarks of a listening, responsive and accountable organization. Such open, frank and productive engagement has been characteristic of the ANC and the government under the leadership of Comrade Zuma. The policy of the ANC is one of ensuring sound fiscal management, and we will adhere to our position of good governance being non-negotiable. Deployees in government and the state-owned enterprises must understand the sacrosanct nature of stringent management of resources. The ANC supports Comrade Pravin Gordhan's view that the decisions taken by Comrade Nhlanhla Nene during his tenure as Minister of Finance in relation to the state-owned enterprises and other expenditure remain in force. We reaffirm our commitment to redoubling of efforts to enhance transparency, fight corruption, and strengthen the resilience of our economy. Given the prevailing economic climate, we appreciate the sentiment expressed by the Minister of Finance that there will be no reduction of spending on pro-poor programs. We further accept that there shall be no additional expenditure unless there is additional revenue which is sourced. The Extended National Working Committee has accepted the report of the national officials. The NWC has further committed itself to work even harder towards the realization of a social compact with all social partners and spare no effort in building and growing an inclusive economy that creates jobs for our people. I think that ends this, and we call on all our people, role players, to give the necessary support to Minister Pravin Gordhan in the new challenges and the daunting task to restore public and investor confidence. We thank you very, very much for receiving this statement.
I will now invite Jeffrey Tamsang-Nakhatebe to make additional remarks which are important to the statement.
Not just a few remarks to indicate that since this challenge emerged after Wednesday, the national officials had an extensive consultation with many stakeholders, including our alliance partners, over the weekend, including a meeting with the banks that was attended by the Treasurer General, Zweli Mkhize, and myself, with the major CEOs in South Africa, including Maria Ramos, Mike Lambetti, Stephen Kosef, Colin Coleman from Goldman Sachs, and many other banks. They issued a statement yesterday indicating their full support of this appointment of Minister Pravin Gordhan as the new Minister of Finance. So we just needed to indicate that the support from business will ensure that going forward we can be able to leave no stone unturned in ensuring that we do everything within our power and possibility of maintaining our fiscal policy in South Africa, and also to implement effectively our National Development Plan, our Vision 2030. So I thought I needed just to highlight that point, that the ANC has had the people of South Africa, these alliance partners, many stakeholders of our society, to ensure that the ANC as a listening organization has had the cries of the people. So from now on, we hope that this challenge that we're facing, South Africans will get together in order to ensure that we move forward in the implementation of the National Development Plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Thamsanqa. We are joined by the member of the National Executive Committee, Stumo Dlamini. Shall we take a round of questions, please? Where is my mic? Kosi? Start here with Sis Sophie. 2. We only have 2 hands. Okay. 3, 4, 5. No, let me. You 4, number 5. Only must always be the last. So I can anticipate him.
Sophie Mkwena from the SABC. I just want to find out, looking at the impact in terms of the announcement, both local and international, it did have a negative impact in terms of investments. Are we likely to see Minister Pravin Gordhan embark on international tours to kind of explain what happened, but also to ensure that the investors are kind of briefed in terms of way forward on issues that are linked to SA Treasury?
Thanks, Sophie.
Amogelang Bata from Bloomberg News. Good afternoon, ministers. I just wanted to ask, Minister Radebe, you say this challenge that is facing South Africans. Could you be more specific in terms of what that challenge is? Is it a leadership challenge? Is it an economic challenge? Is it a policy direction challenge? And also, did the President consult the NEC as the largest decision-making body within the party before appointing Mr. David van Rooyen last week?
Thank you. I think there was a hand behind you.
Xolim Gambi from ENCA. My question surrounds the statements that have been made by some ANC members who voiced their displeasure publicly against the sacking of the finance minister. The question, I suppose, is, were you, when you were briefed by the president, if at all, when he took you into his confidence, that were you satisfied with the reasoning behind Minister Nene's removal from office? And second question regards the reports that suggested that Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa was ready to resign in protest as a result of Minister Nene's sacking. Are you aware of such moves by him? That's it for now.
I knew you were going to ask Hawks.
And perhaps, just as a last shot, perhaps, is what has this done? What has this debacle, in your view, done to the ANC brand? Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Govan Whittles from Eyewitness News. Okay, so the first question that I have relates to the former Minister of Finance, Mr. Nhlanhla Nene. I'd like to find out whether there was consultation with the ANC before it was decided that he should be the nomination for South Africa to the BRICS Bank. And then also on Nhlanhla Nene, I'm not too sure if you're aware of also these rumors that Mr. Nhlanhla Nene was offered the position back and then he declined as finance minister. If you could address that. And lastly, I know you didn't mention it in the statement, but there are planned marches across the country tomorrow calling on the president to resign or for the ANC to intervene and for him to be removed. There's also been comments from notable ANC members such as Professor Ben Turok saying that the party should act against the president. First of all, what's your view on these marches? Secondly, what's your view on ANC members calling for the ANC to act against its own president? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I take that as my first and the last round. Comrade TSG, I'd like you to take the first round.
Okay, thank you. I'll try and answer a few questions. Yes. I'd like to, first of all, deal with a couple of issues. Firstly, there's been no policy change in the last 4 days in terms of the ANC's finance and fiscal policy. It remains exactly where it was 5 days ago. And there's no intention right now of reviewing that particular policy. We will stay the course. We will remain with fiscal management as a stringent fiscal management. We don't have a large economy, and the issue that we must say to our people is that we can only really spend in our economy what is available. So I'm sure other comrades will add to that. Our biggest issue is, of course, that we would not wish to see any government expenditure that would create further job losses or downgrading expenditure that would create any job losses if we can avoid that. And we were very comfortable with Minister Gordon's comment that no pro-poor policy expenditure decisions would be changed, except that no new expenditure would be incurred unless there was additional funding. In terms of consultation, yes, the President did consult the national officials of the ANC about 6 weeks ago on the request by the BRICS Regional Bank for a nominee from South Africa to lead the regional bank of BRICS. And he explained that it was his own view that one would need to send somebody with a high stature, and Minister Nene at the time fitted what was appropriate for the bank. He did consult on that matter. And secondly, just to say to you that in terms of Deputy President Ramaphosa, I'm jumping a few questions if you don't mind. Deputy President Ramaphosa has been working closely with us every single day since Thursday morning. He was not in Gauteng on Wednesday, on Thursday, Wednesday and Thursday. And he was in Lesotho doing something else. That's correct. He's been with us every day. He was with us yesterday, last night, and he was also with us on Sunday afternoon when the national officials met with the President, and when the President accepted an indication that a change was needed. And the President himself offered that he wanted to make a change because of the impact of what none of us had anticipated. Whenever a finance minister is appointed, there's always an impact on the rand, and that's been like that since 1994. Obviously, when the name of David van Rooyen was mentioned, we thought there would be an impact. He's young. We thought there would be questions asked. What we didn't anticipate is the enormity of that impact. So it's not as if we didn't sit down and think through who's this person, what it would be like, how the country reflect, and so on. I can only say this, that what is important is that the change has been made and that action has been taken to rectify what we believe really caused, I think Comrade Jeff called it a bloodbath in the economy, which we obviously are quite, it's been difficult, and it's been a difficult period. We're not underestimating that going forward it won't be even more difficult, given the fact that we're still waiting for the US Federal Reserve Bank to make its pronouncements about a number of countries, including South Africa, economies in the same space as we are in. On the planned marches, we're aware of them. We know of 3 marches, one planned by Barbara Hogan, I think, to somewhere, one planned by Shaka Sisulu, one planned by Haywood, Mark. all of these people have rights. They're citizens of this country. If they wish to march, that's their right to do so. It's the way in which they've chosen to express themselves. We obviously don't support their call at all as the ANC. And in terms of the statements made by Professor Ben Turok is a veteran of the ANC. We respect him immensely. And naturally, it is his right to say what he thinks about any one of us. We're not going to stop him. He has every right to do and say that. What we hope we can do going forward is work towards ensuring that we, the ANC, business community, NGOs, and civil society work together to begin to build a South Africa that works for all of us. And one of the good things that has come out of this crisis has been the positive response of the business community.
Just one issue about the roadshows. As it is well known, the Minister of Finance from time to time, they undertake international roadshows to market our country. So we believe that Minister Gordhan will do the same. But of particular importance is that in January, there is this world gathering at Davos, which is going to be led by the President. Minister of Finance will be there. Myself will be there as well, together with Minister Rob Davies, Patel, and Minister of Water and Sanitation. So this is a normal course that we do, Sophie.
Shall I now allow Comrade Lindy Z?
Thank you very much. There was a question with regard to whether we were satisfied with the explanation that we got as the extended National Working Committee. Yes, we were satisfied, and also to say that it was quite a robust engagement. It wasn't like comrades came into the discussion and did not come with very hard questions. Hard questions were asked by some members of the National Executive Committee, and those questions were answered by the President himself, but also by the members of the top six, because one of the things that needs to be understood is that when there are such issues, we as a collective have the responsibility of ensuring that we ask ourselves those hard questions. And the fact that it was the President who was there, it was an opportunity for everybody to express themselves about how they felt about the decision, but also to get answers. And I can assure you that it was a robust discussion, but at the end of it all, we're all satisfied with the answers that were given, particularly by the President. In fact, one of the issues that was very important related to the fact that some of the members of the ANC who were in the outside expressing themselves, it was the President himself who said, we must not isolate these comrades. We must engage with these comrades. We must listen to these comrades because they're members of the African National Congress. And many a times when they ask these questions, they don't ask them for individual purposes. They ask the questions because they're concerned about their own organization. Thank you.
Can I now take the last round of questions? I start for... No, you have already asked a question. You have already, I knew you want to come again. You know you have. We start here, one.
Thank you. Thank you. It's Helena Silo from Power FM. Do you believe that the issue was handled the best way? Do you think that the issue was handled the best way that it could have been, given that it was about a 48-hour gap between the announcement made, the rand falling, and then only finding out that he'd actually been sent to BRICS? And also, when you say the ANC listened to the people, which exact constituencies did you listen to? Because I know that previously organised labour hasn't necessarily been so happy with President Gordhan, so it would seem perhaps that business was taken into consideration more this time. Thank you.
You mind next?
Antoinette Slabbert from MoneyWeb. About the deployment of Minister Des van Rooyen to local government ahead of the local government elections, are you satisfied that that is the right man for that job and that the department can do what it needs to do before the elections? And then also, going forward, will the ANC have closer control is maybe not the right word, but closer oversight over economic policies of government?
Thank you. Can I pass to your left?
Thank you, Matuma Letswalo from Mail and Guardian. The Deputy Secretary General says Deputy President was present on Sunday, and the President accepted an indication that change was needed. Could you just clarify indication from who? And then also it seems like there's always a disjuncture between the decisions taken by the ANC and cabinet, perhaps. For example, it has been reported that cabinet has endorsed the nuclear, or has taken a decision around nuclear. And if I remember well, the ANC's NGC said that there should be an investigation before, a thorough investigation before any decisions could be taken.
Pass to your left.
Jan Alano from Report newspaper. Mrs. Tuwari, you were not clear on. You said that the President consulted the national officials on the redeployment of Mr. Nene to the BRICS Bank, but you didn't tell it. Can you be explicit? Did the President also consulted on the appointment of Mr. van Rooyen with his CV, and you did not anticipate the reaction that he did have? The national officials, they didn't think that it would have that negative. That's one question. Secondly, just on a point of clarity, that one. But secondly, the movements in the rand and the markets points to an enormous outflow of capital out of South Africa over the 3 days. Who's accountable for this?
Genevieve Quintal from News 24. You said that email was a hoax, and I'm just going to ask outright, did the party discuss a recall of the president at all?
Natasha from the Business Day. At the NGC, in the Secretary General's report, there was, on his analysis on elections, there was concern over the middle class and the middle class vote, and we're heading into another election next year. Obviously, this issue would be higher up in the minds of the middle class, especially in a province like Gauteng. Are you concerned about the impact of this on the elections next year, particularly in a province that did poorly in the 2014 election? Thanks.
Just want to take the last two hands. No. The two gentlemen. No, pass.
My name is Mutlangyana from SABC. The deployment of Van Rooyen to Copter, how do you think this, to Copter just a few months before the elections, how do you think this will impact the forthcoming local government elections? And also the events of this week, how do you think it's going to impact the ANC, especially now that people are disgruntled, if I can put it there?
Clement Manyathela, Africa News Network. Just a follow-up to my colleague's question, I don't think it was answered. I wanted to know
Do you think there's been a damage on the brand of the ANC with this challenge that you talk about? And just the next question on the ANC Youth League statement on Thuli Madonsela calling her a CIA agent. Do you share the same sentiment?
The Youth League.
ANC Youth League, yes.
Can I ask Comrade Ayanda to deal quickly with the question of local government coming in, the impact it will have, the change?
Thank you, Comrade Zizi. I think before I do that, could I just respond to a question that was asked about the Deputy President? I think you asked the question, and Mail and Guardian also followed up on it. The Deputy President actually briefed us all yesterday on everything that had transpired over the last few days. And for a man who is said to have been on the verge of resignation, I didn't see any discomfort that would have pointed to that effect. Because even when the ANC delegation met with the banks, as Comrade Jeff had said, the Deputy President was also in the midst of all of that and being informed on what is going on. With respect to local government, I think there's been resolutions taken at the NGC which in a way reinforce the resolutions of the Mangaung Conference. Nothing, as Comrade Jesse has said, points to a change in policy. All of that which we do is based on those resolutions of conference, but also based on the aspirations of our people. Where there have been service delivery protests, what is being done to alleviate that and to ensure that we deliver services of a good quality and timelessly to our people within the fiscus, that will continue to be done. So the redeployment of Comrade Des into that space is a redeployment of a person that has already worked in that space. So it is nothing new to him. He has been a mayor before at a very difficult time for that matter. But I just think that nothing will change. If anything, we can all hope for, and I'm sure that he will do, is to ensure that we accelerate the delivery of services and also ensure that the municipalities focus and work within the confines of what has been prescribed as priorities of the African National Congress as per the manifesto. Thank you.
Comrade Jeff, do you want to pick up any question?
Just one question that was asked. The President took a decision, as it is his constitutional right to appoint or remove ministers, after listening to all the concerns that have been raised by all stakeholders, including our people, the alliance partners, and the business community. At the end of that, he took the decision himself to now appoint Minister Pravin Gordhan. So I don't think we should create an impression that the proposal was given to him. He listened to the concerns of the people, the ANC members themselves, alliance partners, including business. I thought I needed to clarify that question from Mail and Guardian.
Comrade Yasmin?
Okay, I think you've answered most of the questions. I'm not sure if there's... Okay. Let me just say that the ANC's position on energy is that we need an energy mix, and that's what we said at the NGC. What we also are very clear about is that if that energy mix does include nuclear, it must be affordable. And that's the discussion we had at the Commission, at the NGC, and that's the message we are relating to the ANC government. So hopefully when the government discusses the concept of nuclear, it must be discussed from the perspective of whether the country is able to afford that or not afford it. And that would also include whether we continue with coal-5. We also have other projects online, which includes more solar energy, as well as the gas exploration. So it's not one thing only, it's a number of different components of energy sources that we hopefully will look at as a nation, and that should or could also and should include looking at nuclear. The issue of I just want to come back to this because I see that social media is making an issue about the president. When I want to give a graphic example of what happened on Sunday at 4 p.m. We could only see the president as national officials at 4 because he was at the Mpumalanga Provincial Congress. And when we met him, he said to us, having considered all the various representations I've received since Friday, I've come to the conclusion that a change is needed, and put to us, as the officials, that the change that he is proposing is that Pravin Gordhan is the Minister of Finance and that Des van Rooyen be taken to COCTA, and we agreed with that. Did we anticipate whether there would be a fallout report? I did say so. I said we did. Every time a finance minister has been appointed in this country, there's been a reaction since 1994. Most finance ministers of our country, except for Chris Liebenberg, were members of parliament that came from the finance subcommittee of parliament. Des van Rooyen has been a member of that committee for 6 years and was in fact its chief whip. When his name was presented, we saw that he was young. We raised that question and said that that might have an impact. We did not anticipate. We thought there would be an impact. We did not anticipate the magnitude of the impact, but we did anticipate there would be an impact. So I don't want you to walk out of here with the idea that we did not anticipate an impact, because when Trevor Manuel was appointed, there was an impact. When Pravin was appointed, there was an impact. There's always been an impact on that. And what is important, and I'd like to please repeat that if I may, is that having noted the magnitude of the impact, the courage to change it was also there, and the willingness to change what had happened was also there, and it was done. Yes, it was done. And I think it's important that we accept that as the reality. Our meeting with the President on Sunday lasted for about an hour and 10 minutes, no more than that. So I think that, was this the best way to handle Minister Nene's going to BRICS? The question of Minister Nene, I think I'm going to ask the facilitator to allow Comrade Dlamini to answer this issue about labor and finance ministers and so on, and whether it's the person or something else. But in terms of whether we were consulted about Minister Nene, I would like to repeat, yes, we were. Were we consulted about Des van Rooyen? Yes, we were.
Thank you very much, DSG. Obviously, as introduced, I stand here as the NEC member of the ANC. And can respond to all the questions as they have been responded to. I'm emphasizing that point, that answers that have been given are the answers of the ANC. Before I tackle that question, there was a question, has the brand ANC been damaged? And we have not clearly responded to this question. Obviously, you can assess the damage to the brand over a period of time, but the approach will be, how has the ANC responded to the challenge? Is that going to help to continue to defend the brand? And my answer will be yes. It is that brand that has kicked in when indeed there was this debate. And I think that brand is coming out quite clearly, and in no way being jeopardized in a manner that you will say, therefore, that brand is damaged. Over time, the ANC and its brand will respond to the cry of South Africans as a listening organization, and I think it is that brand that causes the organization to do that. It's not rather the individuals. I can safely say, therefore, the brand is safe. Indeed, Labour, through COSATU, would have expressed certain aspirations, and I want to call it aspirations because each time there's a minister of finance appointed, Labour would express its wishes on what it expects that ministry to do, and would raise a number of complaints and say, yeah, you never listened to us when we said ban labor brokers. Are you now going to listen to us? And that's what would happen. Are you now going to ensure that the national minimum wage is fast-tracked? Are you now going to be able to introduce or allow the taking forward of the comprehensive social security plan? You do so when you're saying to the minister, you have a second chance. It may have not been possible before, but this time these are the expectations. It's not necessarily to say the minister as an individual, because it's not the individual that is responsible for government policy implementation alone. Therefore, when COSATU makes that demand, which is a COSATU demand to the current Minister of Finance, they expect that the institution, and the institution is government as a whole, will listen to those issues and respond in a way that workers will be happy. Because they were saying so, just to sit down, Comrade Zizi, there's been a skewed balance, and people would want to say the president or the ANC government has purely responded to the markets. When the statement of the ANC says we have listened to the South African citizens making representations to the president and then responding to that. So it's not only to the markets. Yes, to the markets, which is very important, but to the South African citizens, the electorate. The president has responded very positively in ensuring that their cries were responded to. And I think we must circle with that, and therefore this brand, without any arrogance, will continue to respond to the South African citizens.
On the issue of the Youth League statement, we don't support the tone nor the sentiment expressed by the Youth League in their statement to the Public Protector today. It's unfortunate. We think that the Youth League makes its own statements. They have, but we clearly want to just state it for the record that the sentiment they expressed there in one of the sentences, we don't endorse nor do we support it. Thank you very much.
I can confirm that there was no discussion of recalling the president. There was no such a discussion. He was never offered. There was never such an offer. Jeff, do you want to take that question? Because I know you're going to complain after this. I want it to be my last hand. Where's my mic? I hate fighting. No. No, I want Mugambi last.
The ANC's got subcommittees, including the Economic Transformation Committee, that plays an oversight responsibility of economic policies of the ANC. So every 5 years we have a national conference. The last conference was in Mangaung in December 2012. So the policies that are enunciated there, those that are deployed in government, they use that as a basis to implement programs in government that are summarized in an elections manifesto. But once ministers of finance are appointed, then they act independently in the best interest of the country and the economy. I think that's the point that Minister Pravin Gordhan emphasized yesterday. That is why there are many institutions in the financial sector, including the Reserve Bank, that act in accordance with the laws of the Republic of South Africa. So I just wanted to clarify that's how the system works. It's not as if there's somebody here in Luthuli House who tells the ministers in the economy that you do this, don't do that. But they work on the basis of the broad policies that are decided by members of the ANC at a national conference, as we saw in Mangaung in 2012, as also emphasized in the National General Council here in Johannesburg.
Oli? Well, I can hear you. I can record you. Yeah. Correct. Comrade Jeff, that was the last question you wanted to answer.
The DSG will answer the last question. On the issue of the National Working Committee, normally every 2 weeks the National Working Committee meets here at Luthuli House. But yesterday was extraordinary that the National Working Committee was extended to all members of the National Executive Committee. So that's the difference of yesterday. And as the Deputy SG has highlighted, the main reason was for this report on the issue of the Minister of Finance that was the main agenda item. So that is the principal reason why, over and above ordinary members of the National Working Committee, it was extended to all members of the National Executive Committee. To answer your question, sir, at the meeting that I attended together with the Treasurer General, with the CEO of the major banks on Sunday, the point that they emphasized was that what we need to do is to restore confidence in the financial institutions of South Africa. We must not go into this blame game. Our responsibility is to go forward in order to deal with the challenge at hand. So that's the spirit that I think we should end this issue on this matter. You can talk to them. They were there. They issued a statement yesterday, a very strong statement supporting the decision by the President that he made on Sunday evening of reappointing Minister Pravin Gordhan. So I do hope also that there's a spirit that South Africans we need to take, that let's restore confidence into the economy, let's work as partners, government, business, labor, and organs of civil society.
Let me come back to the issue of David van Rooyen and the appointment to COCTA. Mr. van Rooyen wasn't just a mayor, he was also the chairperson of SALGA for a number of years in the Northwest Province. And as we know, SALGA has got quite a deep-rooted number of entrenched structures that work with it. He's a very good organizer, he's a good listener. He appears to be fairly humble, but he's quite precise as well. And I think that many people, when they're appointed the first time as a minister and are confronted by the media, they might say as little as they want to say, but we think that he will do a good job. We hope that you will give him your support as a minister, and that he is going to be able to provide us with the kind of push forward for the implementation of back to basics, which is what local government at the moment is dealing with, is how to entrench this notion of back to basics. Natasha, local government elections are very much about local issues. And there might be some impact, but it won't be an impact that would take away a large chunk of ANC support on the ground. And this is not arrogance. This is purely looking at talking to people in the last couple of days about the impact amongst community members and ANC members, as well as people in the civic organization. The President met the President of the civic organization on Friday as well. So it's not as if we're simply going to accept that the impact is muted. It is there, and we're not denying the fact that there is an impact, but let me also say that we all know that local government is about local, very localized issues, and in the main about the delivery of services, and in the main about the quality of the delivery of services. And that's the issue that we would like to focus our minds on as we go forward into the next year when campaigns will begin. I'm not sure if I've left any other matter unanswered. Let's talk about accountability. I think Comrade Jeff tried to answer the positive spirit in which the most affected financial institutions came to the table with. What do we do as a country? And our economy has been bad for a couple of years now. It's not a new phenomenon. We had a good run in this economy up to 4 years ago. And we keep forgetting that our economy is very much dependent on what happens in other economies as well. So in a nutshell, I think we should say that for us, what we're doing is we're looking forward. We're looking forward to working with the business community, with labor, with communities, and in particular what we're saying is we're saying that very directly to the ANC government. We're looking forward to an understanding that fiscal management and proper fiscal management and good governance is just not negotiable. We'll stick the course. We'll understand that it might be difficult for a few more months, even for the next year, but we need to work as a society together, as a nation together. And what is very good about this, the outcome of all of this, has been the kind of open debate and discussion that has taken place in the last four days. And we're very appreciative of that, very much so.
Thank you very much, DSC. That ends our presser. This is the official statement of the ANC. Please ignore any other thing that comes as hoax represented. You wanted to say something? Uyakumosha because ucabanga ukuthi ikhosi yathu la kodwa izakhe ngoba ngiyabona ufuna umphendule. Uyakumosha.
Uyangimosha kwangempela. And don't want him to say they feared to respond to these questions, because we're responding to all the questions. Those we miss, we may have forgotten, and you remind us. The meeting with the President and the alliance partners, in particular the SACP and COSATU, happened on Friday evening for almost 4 hours. So you can imagine it was not just a small meeting. It took quite long, and indeed the President took us on about 1.5 hours explanation of how the events would have unfolded, including the reasons behind. And we were satisfied with his explanations. We were satisfied.
Okay, I need to say something here about the marches. Apparently, Barbara Hogan says that she's not organizing a march, even though her face appeared next to Mark Haywood's in one of the Facebook pages. And I would like to therefore retract my statement that she's organizing a march if she says she's not doing so. Thank you.
On that note, shall I invite all of you to be part of activities tomorrow of Reconciliation Day? Thank you very much. That ends the press. Thank you.
Change is inevitable. Our visions becoming our victories. Knowledge empowers change. The Richfield Graduate Institute of Technology will guide your transformation, offering the most affordable payment plans in South Africa and no interest payments on your education, giving you a choice of accredited degrees. PC Training and Business College has made its evolution into the Richfield Graduate Institute of Technology. Over 25 years of transforming lives. The Richfield Graduate Institute of Technology.
Your World makes it its business every evening to round up the leading local stories and international news to keep you informed all the time.
Make a date with Your World every evening for all the news headlines around the world to keep you abreast with knowledge.
Catch Your World for headlines across the world every Monday to Friday from 9 p.m., then Saturday and Sunday from 7 p.m.